to work on mental state and relationship. So, in terms of mental state and in terms of relationship, these are two separate subjects in our understanding. So, in specifics, if we have to understand what is a relationship and what is mental state, those can be taken in isolation. So I would request all of you to mute yourself so that there are no sounds which is coming back to me, because that is thank you very much. Okay, so as far as relationship is concerned and mental state is concerned, there is a connection. I would start with few introduction. At the same time, as people keep on joining, we would allow them to ask questions if there are any. So, how mental state affects our relationship? Rajarshi is in. Okay. I think soon he will join in. Mental state is a state of mind which actually creates our ability to connect or relate, or willingness to relate or connect. Sometimes you will see people who are not willing to connect or willing to relate when there is a demise in the family, or they are in a sad or unresourceful state of mind. Rajarshi, welcome to the session, and you can just show your face.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Rajarshi, can you please introduce yourself now? You have come the fourth one. So
Okay.
So please introduce with your name and what you do and why you are here and how you are here. Just 2-3 minutes.
Surely. Thank you very much. Sorry for being a little late today. As my phone is it gets out of charge, it gets depleted very fast, so I had to really charge it before I could log in. And thank you very much, Shantanu, for this opportunity once again. There has been some gap in between, but I was really looking forward to this. And because it's a great place where I learn, where I exercise my faculties, and there are ways to I discover wherein I can expand and broaden my horizon, both in terms of my thought process and personal growth as well. And about me, I have been part of the education sector for the last 18 years almost. I was with a management institute. Now I'm part freelancing, part content creating. I'm an aspiring coach myself. Hope to get to that role someday. And this is a great learning phase for me, especially from a person like Shantanu. Thank you.
You're welcome, Rajarshi. You are very valuable to this community and the group. Each one of you are creating a lot in this. Another one comes in, Sunil Anandani. Welcome, Sunil. So, happy afternoon, Sunil. Welcome to the group and the session. You can unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone.
So, since you are in progression, can you please introduce yourself? Who are you and why you are here in 2-3 minutes? You can show your face also if you want to, unless you don't want to. That's a different thing.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. My name is Sunil Anandani. I have total 15 years of experience, in which 7 to 8 years is in branch banking and banking. And since last now 7 to 8 years, I'm in training. And I'm also associated with Sir in the program in which we meet weekly. And the reason I am here because I want to be the best version of myself, in which Shantanu Sir is helping.
Wonderful. That could be the briefest one and the quickest one.
Yeah.
This young man is very energetic, like Rajarshi and Papri, where there is a veteran who is just smiling in a very nice way, Sanjay Kumar Agarwal. the first NLP Plus master trainer in India. Second also is available, but I think his location is very vivid and dynamically, functioning. Something is going on there. So he has put off his camera and just silently there, Piyush Kumar Agarwal. So yeah, so we are few of us we can start off, and as and when people come in and join, let them join. So what I was coming back to was today's topic is the relationship which can be established between our mental state and relationship. So relationship between relationship and mental state means every human being, on one side we know for certain that we are social by virtue of our being able to relate with others. Why do we need to relate? How do we relate compared to why do we need to relate? These are the aspects which we will quickly check, and then we will go to mental status and how mental state affects our ability to relate with people and do whatever we are thinking that relationship would and must have as a part of the skill called ability to establish relationship. Human beings as an animal is considered to be social animal. And why social? Because we are in society. So we grow in society, we enlarge ourselves in society, and unless we are in touch with the society, we cannot really check that whether I have the skills that I want or think that skills must be with me. So only in relationship with others we can check whether we are capable, whether we are progressing, whether we are evolving, whether we are growing, whether we have coping skills to handle any other pattern of human being. Pattern of human being means every person is an infinite possibility, including and displaying certain patterns through their thought, language, attitude, behavior, belief, and action. So every pattern that is visible in another person through their thoughts, language, attitude, behavior, belief, and action is a outcome of how he or she is in a certain mental state or can cope to create and keep or sustain and grow and evolve and manage a specific mental state. So often we have seen that when a person is in a lower mental state or unresourceful mental state, he is becoming reactive in his thought, language, attitude, belief, behavior, and action. So the persona string, which is inclusive of these thought, language, attitude, behavior, belief, and action, that gets affected seriously in terms of bringing them down, in terms of energy, in terms of quality, in terms of the orientation, purpose, and awareness. So when we are relating with an unresourceful mental state, what we can understand is we are unable to perform certain actions which a human being or an entity or an individual is expected to create by relating. Meaning, I am in a lower mental state or unresourceful mental state, I am wanting to establish a relationship and I am failing in some or the other way. So maybe 99% failure is also a failure, 2% failure is also a failure. So depending on what magnitude of failure it is in establishing, maintaining, nurturing, growing, invoking, connecting, disconnecting a relationship, that is to be seen in terms of degree. That is from 1% of failure to 100% of failure. Whichever you are, I am nobody to make any comment. Neither I would try to find out how good you are in failing. But what is important here is to self-calibrate your position from this entire concept which will get introduced to you today. So one side is mental state, other side is the function of relationship or establishing a relationship by an individual. So how do you relate and what is your fundamental experience in establishing a relationship while you are in certain mental state? We will quickly check between few of us here. How? In relationship, when we are establishing relationship with you or with somebody else, you are establishing a relationship with anybody else, why do we fundamentally need to establish relationship with others? We could do without establishing relationship, because we fundamentally want to influence others. We fundamentally want to work as a team. We fundamentally love to lead, and we fundamentally, in several contexts and multiple contexts, in fact, in life, we are supposed to lead a team, or we are supposed to lead a family, or we are supposed to lead our descendants. Like, we have to show the way for our children. We have to show the way. Sometimes husband is showing the way to the wife, sometimes wife is showing the way to the husband, sometimes head of the family is showing the way to the rest of the family members. Whichever way it is, whether you are a leader in a community, leader in a family, or leader in a country, or leader in a locality, or leader in an organization, the role might look, appear, or labeled differently, but you are supposed to lead, you are supposed to influence. As long as this is remaining the truth, what is important is that what is the mental state in which I could relate to others in the most useful way to get the outcome completely serviced. The outcome being, I should be able to establish a very high level or optimum rapport with the person whom I am connecting. I should be able to influence that person or his mind or decision. And third is, I should be able to engage him in my vision or what I want to do willingly. That means, when I am as a leader wanting to lead a team of people within an organization X, and I have to get them do certain work which I want them to do, I have to first make them a partner in my vision or shared vision with me. If they can have a shared vision with me and willingly they are accepting the shared vision or shared mission, then only I can consider myself as a team which is integrated, harmonized, and will be working with synchronicity. Now, without synchronicity, the team, if it is working, that team is not efficient. Performance-wise, it will go down, and definitely over a period of time, I might be thrown out of my leadership role or team lead role. So primarily, we are discussing here what could be the mental state with which, if I attempt any relationship or to engage in any relationship, I will be successful or I will be usefully successful. Okay? So, as far as any of you are concerned, if you have considered the importance of mental state with the relationship, that is, when we know that relationship is a fundamental part of our life in terms of processes, that we are requiring to establish a relationship when we are going to the market to buy some vegetable or buy some whatever I want to purchase from a shop. I am establishing a relationship with somebody and then wanting to ask the price, and if the price is going to get down, by again establishing a relationship or trying to influence. Now it starts from the morning market, then it gets into a situation where you are going to a cab and hire a cab to go to a particular destination, whether you are able to influence that taxi driver to take you to a destination where you want him to go. Third, it comes when you reach your office or your workplace where somebody is waiting there in terms of your peers or colleagues or boss or whoever in the office or organization is available to you, whether they are ready to accept the reason for your delay coming into the office or the assignment that you hand over the moment you get into your office to them for them to deliver it by the end of the day, or the timeline whichever you paint for them. Whether they agree to do that or not, whether they disagree or they create trouble for you, all that experience that you pick up from those people are based on your ability or the influencing capability as a leader. When you are telling them to do something, are they doing it harmoniously? And that too, you are requiring to keep a mental state in which you have to or you could establish a relationship which will always give you success as a return. Now, when did you find you did not get success as a return? When did you find you always got success as a return? These two observations will give you a fundamental idea between what is the difference that made the difference, tipping towards getting success in establishing relationship with certain mental state. You will find, or if you go back in your memory in the past, for similar experiences, you will find and note something very interesting. The day when you have attached yourself to any situations in life where you are at your high, you could establish outcomes which were otherwise appearing to be not possible. Someday where easy work was there in hand and which you wanted to influence somebody to do the same thing for you as a leader and them as a follower, your mental state was that day not so optimum, or it was not resourceful, and due to that you experienced that things did not work out, or something happened in the way you expressed yourself through your thought, language, attitude, belief, behavior and action, which was somehow interpreted by those people whom you wanted to influence as either something which is annoying, something which is difficult to handle, something which is impediment or an obstacle for them to accept the work that you have given them. If this is clear to you, I would like to ask if the concept that I shared with you, that mental state is related in certain way, which way we haven't yet defined, to our ability to establish a rapport, establish any kind of leadership position with somebody, or establish an influence with the others. What is your feedback in 1 or 2 or 3 lines or sentences in terms of this ideology that mental state, whether it is resourceful or unresourceful, plays a role in establishing the quality of relationship with any other person in your life during a day? So I will start with Rajarshi. If a similar, what kind of feedback you would have in this concept and this context?
Thank you very much. Yes, I have, since I had to deal with, at a very public persona all throughout, because I had to deal with students all along, and because I worked as a coordinator and my job was to bridge certain gaps and establish relationship between the management and the students as an interface.
Yes.
And not only that, I was frequently organizing seminars, talks, and workshops and other events for the students. And of course, there had been moments, as you pointed out, my mental state varied as I'm a human being. I have my own emotional ups and downs. As a consequence of the vicissitudes of life, circumstances of life, of course. And there were days, if I look very closely, when my mental state was really peak, as you coined this word, due to some inner resourcefulness and containment, or say pleasantness within myself, that I have read some very motivating piece of writing, or some vision of the future I'm heading towards, and I'm finding some success there. And there is something like some doors have opened up inside my in my mind, and then when I interact, that shows that excitement, that happiness, or that kind of positivity shows up, and that at that very moment I perceive that the people around me are touched by that on those very specific moments. It doesn't happen all the time, and other times it's purely transactional, and maybe I have to fine-tune myself just to get something done. I have to be very to put on that that mental makeup and put on a smile, act as if I'm being very positive and pleasant and courteous to the other person to get things done. But at the heart of it, when you are not acting it out, when something deep within you really resonates and it shows up, there I've found real success. There I've found a very palpable difference.
Wonderful.
Because other time, yes, in our everyday, it is because it's all about people. It's all about others. Our success lies in others' cooperation. You can't succeed in void, absolutely. And I just recalled one quote by Zig Ziglar. He said very specifically, You can have everything you want in your life if you only help enough others get what they want in their lives. It is just
Very
that.
true.
So
Very true.
so I tell my students, I mean, when I used to interact with them, just as an added point, that don't venture out to get what you want. Venture out to get what other people want in their lives. You will get what you want in the end.
Perfect.
So that is how I phrase myself or frame myself at times. What is it that the other person wants from me? Am I really being able to deliver that? Am I really being able to meet his need? Am I really reflecting what exactly he's expecting, both in terms of behavior or some other transactional mode that I've got in? So
Wonderful.
These are the observations I've made, and I won't say I've been very successful, but there were times when I did things right, and I could see the results were very much visible. But then again, at the end of the day, you can do what you can do. It is not exactly in your hand what the other person will respond, the way he's going to respond. So that factor also be factored in.
Fantastic. Yes, Rajesh.
Thank you.
I recognize your very valuable insights which you have shared with all of us, with specific touching your areas of experience in relation to your mental state, with the outcomes that you could establish in terms of relating with others. It was very well shared. Thank you very much for adding value to this session. Thank you. So I would come to most probably Sunil to share next, if you could share anything in this regard.
Sir, as far as the subject goes, what I think is that the mental state of myself and the mental state towards that person both matters a lot.
Yes.
For example, if I am in a happy mental state, I'm in a happy mood, it will definitely help me to deliver to my optimum, and I will definitely do that. On the top of that, if I think about that person, that okay, that person is like that, and if I have a certain perception, certain bias for that person, again, that will also depend. That will also matter a lot, or rather, it will also impact my mental state. That how am I making relationship with them? Because at the end of the day, if my perception towards that person is not right, or not what do you say, resourceful, right? So in that case, I don't think so that I will be able to make that relationship with that person, because meri ichha nahi hai. I only don't want to do it. Right? So this is my views. And yes, what Rajesh sir said perfectly right. I'm actually living my life on that one line of Zig Ziglar, that if you can give the other person what they want, then I can get what I want. So that is really close to my heart. I actually practice my life on this. No doubt.
Fantastic, Sunil. Your aptitude in terms of interpreting what exactly we have been discussing as a priority, that is mental state, to do anything for that matter. Here, relationship is the context. So yes. Mental state with relationship is the context where you have very clearly given a lot of value addition to this particular session. Thank you very much for that, Sunil. I recognize that and celebrate. So though I know Sanjay is not very nice in his head, so I would excuse him for today. Okay, so fine. So it's better that he doesn't talk. So I'll come back to Piyush Kumar to share his idea on mental state with relationship. Piyush ji, are you there?
Sir, I'm just getting inside the car.
Okay.
So maybe within 2 minutes I can.
Okay, so. Fine. You carry on. I will.
Just in 2 minutes I will get in the car.
I'll talk to Mr. Sajivan. Mr. Sajivan, welcome to the session. Can you please share your idea? What we were discussing was, what is the relationship of mental state with our ability to relate or establish relationship with other people in life, in multiple contexts, in any context during the day. So what is your personal experience in terms of relationship between your mental state, whether it is resourceful or unresourceful, what it has to do with your success rate in establishing relationship with people? Soma Sajivan, are you there? He said that he will join in few minutes with the camera. So his camera is off. That's all right. And Piyushji will come back in a while. Rajeshi has shared. So now I did not want for you to give the thing, but I think I come back to Papri for that. So you can share what is your idea about success with a higher mental state and a lower mental state in relationship. You can talk in English or in, I don't know if others will, some will understand Bengali, I think. So whatever you are comfortable with, you can share. You are muted, so you have to unmute yourself. Yes. Yeah.
মিস্টার মুখার্জি যেগুলো বললেন সবটাই আমার সঙ্গে রেজোনেট করে যাচ্ছে পুরোটাই, বাট মানে অ্যাজ আ ফ্রেশার আই এম নট এবল টু এক্সপ্লেন, আপনাকে সকালেও বলছিলাম ইন দ্যাট ওয়ে, বাট আই এম ফিলিং ভেরি মাচ, মানে মোর অর লেস ইট ইজ সামহাট মানে সেম ফিলিংস, কিন্তু আমার একটা লেভেল 1 এর চলছে আমার। তো অ্যাজ আ ফ্রেশার আমি যেটা বলতে পারি, আমার নিজের ডিফারেন্স যেটা হয়েছে, আই এম অলওয়েজ ইন ব্লিসফুল স্টেট, যেটা আমার আগে ছিল না। আই ইউজ টু অফিস, বাড়ি, বিকজ অফ দ্যাট রিজন, অ্যান্ড সেটা সবসময় সেটাতে ব্লেম করলেও হয় না। মাই মেন্টাল স্টেট ওয়াজ মোর অর লেস রিঅ্যাক্টিভ, বাট নাও আই এম বিকামিং স্লোলি রেসপন্সিভ, and I'm enjoying that in day-to-day life, and life is really blissful. And I'm fulfilled. Wonderful. I'm filled with many lot of things are there.
Wonderful. এটা আপনি যেটা শেয়ার করলেন, whatever you shared is something quite surprisingly resourceful, because you are at the very initial stage of your learning. At the same time, you are so matured in your expression and accomplishing certain mental state which is not always achievable by a person who is just starting his learning trajectory. So in that way you have accomplished a lot. That's wonderful.
Thank you, sir. Sir, one thing more, in NLP family I want to take everyone's help. Okay. with your permission.
So it is always there. All of the members here are very helpful. So you can always ask or query anyone here. I'm pretty certain everybody is there to help each other. Because it's a family. And we are growing like a family here. Around 32 of us are here. Around 30 of us are here. So some of them having guests today being Sunday, or some of them are really sick because of the current situation. Some have fever, some has throat pain. So that's why. But otherwise, here is a family. You have got back a family of 30 people all over the world here. Lot of people who are from outside India also, who would help each of us. So we are all for each other. So there is no problem. You always can connect. Thank you very much for sharing your part. And Soma Sajivan, I would like to ask you the question if you have heard.
I have that, but you can repeat it. So
I will repeat. It is we are talking about the relationship between mental state and our ability to establish relationship with people outside ourselves. That how successful we become when our mental state is at a lower part, that is unresourceful, and when our mental state is at a higher state, that is very resourceful. How do we relate to people, and how do we are able to succeed in influencing people? So that way, what is your experience based on your present life?
Sanjanaji, thank you very much for really taking time to explain.
And that. Please explain. Please, you have to explain 2 minutes. Who are you and why you are here, and then you answer this. So that's a punishment.
No, I am here because of you. Really speaking, the honest answer. Because I saw, or I have seen, or I experienced many
give a
Many.
quick introduction of you,
Okay.
because many of them don't know.
Okay.
And yeah, you are from which city you are connecting?
Okay,
So
okay.
yeah.
I am actually originally I am Soma Sajivan. I am
Hmm.
originally from Kerala, but now settled down in Chennai.
Okay.
So in between, I was little bit lot of some issues like I lost my father-in-law, very
Oh.
old only. So ups and down going and here. When I came here, it has been house has been infested with so many things. So doors were opened, and so some issues were there. Decluttering. I was in the
Okay.
middle of something helping. So
Hmm.
that's me. I'm a human resources leader. I used to be heading companies like McDonald's, EDS, Electronic Data Corporation, Polaris corporations, like that. Huge teams of big leaders and all other things, many transformations. Travel across most of the good countries. I was able to do some good work and could handle, coach, help, transform some people. That's my background. But today, no, I'm not doing much except learning and trying to find out the good keys of, as you are talking about, bringing the mental state very little up, take it up, so that, as you said, a relationship or conducting any transaction, personal communication, mental, emotional, all those things will be little bit easier, quicker, better, brighter. And if everything depends upon the state of mind, then 100%, there's nothing, no roundabout talking about. Straight talking, everything is decided by the state of mind we are in. And only good news is that there on the other side there are many tools and techniques and available to us to see that, to explore the possibilities of lifting those mental states, changing those mental states, shifting that mental state to something which will be useful for us, which can be a springboard so that we can enhance the qualities. But certain huge things wherein the mental state is so shocking, so powerful, mean you have to do something similar to come out of that. But if you are able to change the stray or the reels and the waves of thoughts, if you are able to bring some changes into that, I think rest of the things by action, by conduct, responses will be possible. Because as you have told some time back, human beings are the only species. They have some space between the stimulus and response, in which through which window we have the opportunity and we have the ability and potential wisdom, or so-called at least information, so we can take a better or a qualified or a little more qualitatively better choices of decisions for anything, for any human beings, right from this group also. Whatever be the situation, it happens because of a stimulus and a response, and we have choices to take it. So that's right. But to answer question, yes, it has got a direct impact on the relationship with anybody. If your state of mind is not good, any word you talk even to your closest person, mainly because this happened with wife or husband, and so close relationship, daughter, father, it all collapse. Small thing is enough. Like the pani garam kiya, पानी तो हमेशा गर्म है, वो स्विच ऑन करने का बात है. If you talk like that, when your state of mind is good, we both are in the same level, it will be accepted. Otherwise, that one dialogue is enough to spoil the whole long, build up relationship. All those things are the issue. So relationship basis your state of mind. The quality of your mind decides the quality of your relationship. 100%.
Wow. Wow. Lovely. Lovely, Soma Sajivan. The way you have succulently discussed and spread ourselves, our minds onto different aspects of the relationship between relationship and mental state is something which I really recognize and I celebrate. Thank you very much for adding value to the session. Thank you.
Sir,
Yes.
I want to add something
Yes.
over here. Not
Yes.
only the relationship with mental state relationship, it is active in not only in animate objects, it is, I have seen it in my experiences, it is working on inanimate objects also.
Wow, that's a very good extension of that idea. Very good. Thank you, Papri. So let us realize something. What we have gathered from all of you is that we are on the same page in terms of how and why mental state is directly contributing to our rate of success or failure, either in establishing relationship with people. Whatever is the objective of establishing a relationship, whether it is just to have a cup of tea together, or is it to have, yes, Piyush ji, yes. Now you're back, so please share. Piyush ji, are you in?
Yeah, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, we can only see your hand,
So,
but not your
thank
face.
You. I'm sorry for holding. I'm not coming on camera.
It's okay.
Speaking part. Sir, this thing is very, very important. Whatever nuggets I have learned from you, not being, I can put it in another way, not being in stuck up mindset is the greatest thing for a mankind to happen. We should never be in a stuck up state. If we are in a stuck up state, definitely we will land up being negative thought process, and our relationship nearby and with everyone with whomsoever we meet. We have 1,000 stories from whom we can learn. Tell you one simple incident. When I was very young and I was my first job, my boss, Mr. Mukesh Vig, was a very dynamic person. And just before, when he used to leave the office, he would go to the washroom and just put a comb, he will wash his face and everything. So I used to ask him, sir, what is this? Why you do so much of drama and makeup when you take 5-10 minutes? So he said that, Piyush, I want to, when I reach home, I want to tell my wife that I was not doing very hard work. The way you have sent me in the morning, I'm the same person back in the evening. So that gives a positive vibration to my wife also, and that makes my family happy.
Wow, wonderful.
So go in a manner that I'm very I'm very tired. Please do not, because I also told you in between sometime that these days when I'm too much off with work, just before reaching home, I try and see that if I'm able to park my car somewhere for 10 minutes, and I switch off my phone and just be in silence, so that by the time I reach home, I'm in the best of my things, and I do not shout on wife and kids, and I am in the highest acceptance level. So
Very true.
everything depends on how mindset you have. For example, whatever happens, we travel a lot, we meet different kind of people at work, at home, outside our. You see how the road rage happens. Why there so many road rage happens? Because people are not in good mood all the time. They are in a very bad shape. When they leave home, they're cursing someone or the other person. When they reach home, they're in between. If something untoward happened with their vehicle, they will come and bash you like anything. So have to avoid all these kind of clashes and be in the most happiest, like a child. When a child is born, till the age of 7, they are in the best manner because nothing influences them. So why a person cannot be in that mindset all the time?
Yes, very
It's
true.
very difficult to be. That's a nirvana stage if that happens. If we do not have the dam, growth, and everything, but that stage can be attained. Like nothing is impossible. If you can, there are just like the other person telling, there are tools. There's so many tools. You can meditate. I've just now learned. Today was my first day. You told me to be in silence for 1 hour without any gadget.
Okay.
So today I tried. And
you have done it?
Yeah, I did it for 20 minutes.
Lovely.
This morning when I went for a walk, so I said that since tomorrow is my session with you, so I thought if you might ask me, then at least I can not give my 20 minutes of walking, and I should be in silence. But sir, that feeling was great, sir. That 20 minutes, because
congratulations, Piyush ji. This is phenomenal for a CEO like you, with so much of work at hand and so much things you are doing. Fabulous. Congratulations.
Because the 20 minutes was a big thing for me, because my sleep was complete, so I was not able to sleep in between also. Some good thought thoughts were coming, I wanted to note those thoughts, but I said that let them pass by. Because
Okay.
these thoughts, because continuously thoughts were coming, and
Yes.
my commitment to you was that I will not touch the ego then. So
Yes.
Can I
Yes.
add a story here, if you allow, Shantanu?
yeah, please,
Yes.
please.
Yes. Please.
Exactly what my friend, my comrade, brother was talking. In There is the story, corporate story, wherein one general manager is going to his manager's house. Manager is a frustrated man, and he always used to fire him, shout at him on a regular basis. And then he goes to the house. As soon as he reaches the front of the house, he tie his some bag or some like a bundle and tie it on the tree. There's a mango tree kind of tree near the house. He bundle and he just changes his posture, and with a laughter and cheerful he enters the house, hugs his children. He's a totally different man. And next day morning when he's coming out, he takes the bag and comes to the office. So he asked him, what is it? He said that all my office, all my worries and all my tensions, I leave it at the tree. As I am entering, I am my child's mother, child's, my wife's husband, and my sister-in-law, so-and-so, brother-in-law. So I want to be the best. I want to give the best of relationship. So always do that. So when I come home, come to the office, I don't carry home here. So that is
Yeah,
why I manage. So I can take any tension, whatever firing you give, it is okay for me.
that's a great thing.
Uh,
Fantastic.
My father used to tell me, if you if you are in office ke ho jao. If you're at home, be home ke ho jao. Because he took my mother used to ask my father, why don't we have a telephone at our home? So my father said, if I bring telephone, because that was the time when you used to apply for a telephone, you pay high premium and you get a phone. He said, if the phone comes here, the aram and the peaceness of the house will go away, because there were so many people start calling.
Hmm.
So he said that because I don't want to think about work when I'm at home. But that's not happening with us. With now the whole thing has changed with work from home and other things. Right, truly speaking, from the copybook style, no one should work from home. But now the concept is changing. Life has become 24/7. So, and we are constantly. I'm in that thing always. So one of these days, my wife was asking me, "What will happen if you think of retirement sometime? So what thoughts will come to you?" Now the only work-related thoughts comes to you.
Ah.
So she was asking. In a way, she wanted to ask me, does you think of our family sometime, like in between?
Ah.
No, I said that is a permanent thought. That
Ah.
thought is always there.
Yeah.
In the same thing, one father was just reached home and with a brand new car.
Hmm.
So he just went to inside to have a wash and come back so that he can take family for a ride.
Okay.
So just then he thought that his daughter, 5 years old daughter, is putting some scratches on the car, and she's doing with something with the compound. So and angry.
Usually your signal, I think, is. Are you all right there?
Started bashing her daughter. His daughter. Suddenly he realized, Baba, I love you. I love this car. I love the thing that when we are in a good mood, we are in a pleasant mood.
I think the signal again has dropped for USG.
Hello.
Yeah. We lost you in terms of audio.
Yeah, so this is all I wanted to say.
Huh.
This is very, very important that our mental status and our calmness, our coolness, our positivity, our happiness, that is that resonates in the atmosphere. And if we see ourselves first thing in the morning in the mirror and make this person happy, the whole world would be happy.
Absolutely. Very true. Thank you very much for sharing, Piyush. It was very useful for all of us.
I don't remember the name of the company
Ah,
in Europe. They
hmm,
purposefully asked their employees to have uh, 5 minutes break after every 2 hours with
hmm.
no gadgets, no phone calls. So they be in the silence and be in the peace mode with themselves,
Yes, yes.
so that they cannot shout. They do not shout on each other, and if some negativity is there, it can go away.
So it is starting, Piyush ji, in a very big way, because I am also part of a movement in Europe where a concept called happiness at work is coming into play, and it will
Yeah.
slowly come into India also, with those organizations in Europe which is wanting to play a big role in changing the work environment so that work environment becomes more efficient, productive, and usefully resourceful.
And
Thank
sir,
you very much, Piyush.
if you are
Huh.
last thing, if you are aware, Panasonic has just announced that
Hmm.
they want their people to come to office only for 4 days. For rest of
Oh,
the 3 days, whatever they do, they can even take up a job. They can take up another job. They just want their people to be in the highest, in the happiest index.
which organization?
Panasonic,
Oh, in all over the world or
all over
only?
the world, all over the world, so that so that they say कि for the 4 days also, for
They will give their
nothing
best.
to
Yeah, yeah. Yes. So
yeah,
this
so
is the
many things are happening, sir.
yes, yes. This is the actually the idea which is being followed all over the world. In fact, in Europe and US, that is what is being followed by the employers. Welcome back.
Sir, can I add
Please,
one more dynamics to the
please carry on.
discussion that is
Yes,
going on?
yes, yes.
I have always been very fascinated with this idea of how people maintain their state of mind and become unaffected and unfazed by what is going on around them
Okay,
environmentally.
okay.
So I since I'm into music, I've seen many a performer, great artists, maestros perform on stage. And what I discovered, there were a few. In fact, now we get to see a lot of concerts on the YouTube, and I see certain concerts, solo concerts, where the artist is performing supposedly at his living room, and there is absolutely he's blissed out and he's very much comfortable with himself or herself and playing. And it was only later that I discovered there is an audience of say 500 people in front of him, because the camera was positioned right
Wow.
onto the performer initially, and then when it pans out, then I
Huh.
then I discovered, oh my God, goodness, there is an audience. It seems as if he is playing for himself or herself.
Okay.
So this is that flow state, or if I can, he is absolutely nonchalant and unaffected
Hmm.
by the audience's reactions, the things going on there, how people are appreciating or disengaging from what is going on, or the noise outside. He's simply
Yes.
doing his job attentively, giving it 100% of him, and relaxing at the same time. And there is a very, very powerful book which I've just read. It's called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield.
Okay.
The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. It's
Okay.
a very thin book, and
Okay.
it says how artist or any creative person excels actually, what he
Wow.
does actually, and
Lovely.
how not to over identify yourself with your art or art form,
Wow.
because then you get overwhelmed with certain emotional impetus that come the way.
Please write
So-
the name in the group.
Surely,
Name of
it's
the book
called
in the book.
The War
Yeah.
of Art, Stephen Pressfield. It's got
Okay.
some 15,000 plus reviews on Amazon. I'm sure you'll
Wonderful.
find it.
Wonderful. Please include that
Sure, I'll do
name
that.
in that.
I'll do.
Thank
Sure.
you, Rajesh. It was a very good value add and a kind of a, establishing facts, and congruently we are being harmonized with the idea, with the strength which is increasing constantly to believe and accept, recognize and celebrate that human state is a minimum situation or a focus which can, if improved, would have a direct impact on our ability to establish relationship or influence relationship or ethically connect and engage with people towards getting into a situation where you can face and lead a team, you can influence and change the concept, you can ensure that there are certain closure in any team work or whatever objective you have as a leader, that can be closed once your mental state with which you enter connecting with the team or engage with the team is in a very resourceful state. So in here, NLP has a role to play. Why? Because NLP brings about a change which is always generative in nature as opposed to remedial change. NLP does not look at bringing about a remedial change. It doesn't give you remedy. It gives you a generative change. And what is this generative change all about? Is a change which will allow other changes to happen. Meaning, if you are changing your mental state and you are able to handle your mental state, you will be automatically handling your quality of relationships. That means you are not remedial, you are not doing anything to outcome. Your outcome is not remedial change. Your outcome is generative change. This is generative in nature. Meaning you are working on one, it is affecting couple of other things which are related to it directly, with or without our knowledge, without or with our recognition. So that is why it is important and it is easy for us as an NLPer to be able to recognize what is the difference that makes the difference in establishing relationship, which is our mental state. Now, mental state is the storehouse and mitochondria of the human body. If you know that powerhouse of human cells are mitochondria.
Mitochondria, yes.
Yes. So our mental state is almost like, analogy wise, it is a mitochondria of human excellence in that sense. If I am able to hold my mental state at my highest, come what may, by my knowledge, by my awareness, by my higher state of certain practices that I do, by religious practices of certain things, whatever it is, which we learn in our track in NLP Plus Lifestyle and several other programs that we do, is that it is only to ensure that our mental state is not only maintained, but it can be nurtured, grown, and raised without any limit. The mental state is a state which comprises as a mother state all the other state in our day-to-day life. One of the most important state within the mother mental state is the learning state. Whenever you are learning, in fact, all of the time you are learning. That is my sense. Based on my belief, if I have to share my understanding, there is no situation where learning state will not come to our use. At this juncture that you are listening to this, whatever rubbish I am talking about, unless your learning state is at a particular optimum level, you would not make head or tail of whatever I am saying. If your learning state is at a space or at a level where certain components are active in you, then you perhaps carry away most important and valuable lessons today itself in ensuring that what you need to do to ensure and establish a good and a very useful relationship in your life. Mental state. And in that, I said learning state. Learning state is the subset of the superset, which is mental state. Why learning state is such an important state in us is that without the learning state, you cannot inch forward in your evolution or in your growth in terms of your expansive knowledge to increase your insight or farsight. If you or we cannot increase or expand our insight or farsight, that means the decisions that we will be taking in time to come would be qualitatively lower in their quality. So lower decision making skill, lower quality of decision making, and hence lower quality of destiny. Because decision makes destiny. As I always say, that there is nothing called present condition which decides your future. There is nothing called past history which decides your future. Your quality of decision that you take today at this moment decides and creates your destiny, which is your future. Future is just a concept, but destiny is very clearly where people, there are certain people, maybe 96% of the people in the world population would tell that whatever destiny is getting created, it is by luck or fate. People who are not taking control of the unconscious and always pushing everything that is happening in the hand of the unconscious or the subconscious is sometimes mostly making responsible fate for their destiny. People who take control of the future or the destiny by taking unconscious into their conscious periphery, that means they are operating out of conscious mind as opposed to operating out of unconscious mind, they are taking fate into their hands because they create fate. They act to ensure that they take good decisions and resourceful decisions with a resourceful mental state. So if I can harmonize the status, quality, standards and the growth of my mental state in constant basis, where embryonically this is the root of our existence, that my mental state is the root of my existence. If I can ensure that, if I can believe that, and if I can do everything to ensure my mental state never falls, then everything that I will do from that, within that particular mental state, which is a resourceful, harmonious and equanimous mental state, I would always be establishing, whether be it in terms of learning state, whether be it in terms of relationship, whether be it in terms of creating or innovating or ideating or doing anything extravagantly different, outside ordinary, which is extraordinary, from the supergenius state of your existence, that would be always beneficial and matching with your standards of brilliance. However, if certain way, in some way, our mental state falls, sometimes mental state falls due to physical interference, sometimes mental state falls due to external triggers, sometimes mental state falls due to environment, sometimes mental state falls due to our meaning making mechanism, sometimes mental state falls because of the perception and the way we create our perceptions in life, which is map of the world. Now decisions are two types. One is long-term decision, one is short-term decision. So when I'm creating a short-term decision, I'm always dependent on my map of the world. Please understand this very specifically. Now when I'm taking a long-term decision, that I have to take a very long-term decision, like I want to migrate to Europe, or I want to migrate to Pune, or I want to create a big house, not in India, but in certain other country in the world. All these long-term decisions, for that, we depend on our value system. So we operate through our value system for long-term decision, operate through our map of the world for short-term decision. And short-term and long-term decision, these are the only two components and hands in creating our destiny or the quality or standard or height of our destiny. So where is the space for us, for any of us, to blame anything other than our decision for creating our destiny? As opposed to the reality in life, what you see around you is that there are umpteen number of this 96% of world population making rest of the thing responsible other than their decision for their ill fate. In their lives, everything that is not happening well is not because of themselves, either because of their mother-in-law, father-in-law, father, mother, parents, brother, sister, neighbors, country leader, whatever is there, they are not responsible. Somebody else is responsible to make their decision. Now when I am allowing mentally, with my mental state and my understanding, my mental state is such a level that I am allowing the rest of the people to take decisions. Obviously, they are in turn creating my destiny. That means my destiny happens by accident. My destiny happens outside my control, but within my circle of concern. That means my belief is that my destiny should happen the way I want, but it will be made by somebody else. Meaning, I think my boss will take care of my salary after the review. That means it is not in my hand. So I believe that it is outside my circle of influence, but it is within my circle of concern. This is a mismatch, disharmony in the way you are living your life. If you are keeping all that is supposed to be within your circle of influence, outside your circle of concern, then never the life is in your control. Whatever is in your circle of concern, if it is always outside your circle of influence, that means you are not in control of your life. Everything that is within your circle of concern is outside your circle of influence. You are not influencing anything in your life. When that will happen? That will happen only when your mental state is an unresourceful state. Your belief system is limiting beliefs, primarily, predominantly and primarily. If your belief systems are in limiting belief space or bucket, if your mental state is always unresourceful, obviously the decisions that creates your destiny will not be created by you but by others in the world, and obviously you would have no control on it, and your life and the consequences happening in your life will happen by accident. Sometime good, sometime bad, sometime always bad, sometime always good. And we will then call whatever is happening, attribute that responsibility to our fate. Bangalira bole kopal, and people say that is fate. I mean, that was his fate or her fate to have that kind of a life, which is bad, good, whatever it is. He has a good fate, he has a good life, I mean, he has a good kopal, whatever you say, destiny. So he is getting something good, or he is a bad fate, I mean, kharab kopal, so he is getting into a bad consequences. So what is this? It's a complete disengagement, a disharmonious understanding of where is it, what is it that makes the difference. Because without being able to identify what is it that makes the difference, we are blaming everything on fate. Because it is very safe for that person to take back the responsibility and not feeling responsible, because he doesn't feel strong enough or she doesn't feel strong enough to take the responsibility of his or her life in her own hand or in his own hand. How many of you are unable or shrinking or afraid of taking control of your own life? In the world, 96%. In this group, 100% is capable of taking your control in your life. How lucky are you? Because you are having the principles, you are having the steps, you are having the processes by which you can conveniently say, beyond reasonable doubt, that I can control my decisions and thereby my destiny. I can take control of my decisions, I can make my decisions the way I want, and I can make my destiny the way I want. Without attributing it to fate, without attributing it to anything other than yourself, because you know then that decisions make destiny, not my past and my present circumstances. In your present circumstances, apart from you, there is your environment. Definitely, environment has to play a big role in maintaining your mental state. Sometimes because of the environment, a person who is not prepared or trained will go down the drain. So what am I managing and what am I meeting every day basis? At least 3 or 4 people call me and they say, sir, please help me, please save me. This is a problem, that is a problem. My life is happening like this. My family is behaving like this. My parents are doing this. My husband is doing that. My mother-in-law is doing this. My father-in-law is doing that. And all sorts. And everybody who has come in engagement with me for a better version of their life have started with a deep shit to begin with as far as their life status is concerned. Not many of you here, but those people whom I hear nowadays are in a very deep trouble, and they come from that state just because of the fact that we can understand and calibrate their mental state is completely down because of the environment, because of certain people outside them. They have started believing that they are no good, or they are useless, or they are lunatic, or they are suicidal, whatever you may name them, anything that you can think of in sense and state and space of unresourcefulness. Their mental state is always exhibiting and displaying those qualities, and thereby they are weak. They are weak not by their capacity and potential, they are weak by their belief system. They are weak by their values because of those belief system which are limiting belief. That's why the values are also not well understood, defined and elicited in them. The awareness going low, mental state going low, in totality the relationship that they establish is very poor. So obviously they are not able to lead or pace. Pacing means understanding the speed of the other person, and leading means once I understand your, supposedly I am in a relationship with you, once I understand your frequency, I would match your frequency, that is pacing, and then I will lead towards the better version of all of us together. Pacing and leading is impossible for a person with a mental state which is lower than optimum. Unless the mental state is at least at an optimum level, you cannot actually operate to create or make quality decisions. And if not, there is no quality destiny. That means you are not creating a future which is of any usefulness to your context of time and space. The time and space in which you are in, you are having a certain age. Like you could be 5 years old or 50 years old, it doesn't matter. Some X age. And you are in a time where a lot of responsibility is on your shoulder, or there are some responsibility which is on your shoulder. There are certain dreams and visions and mission that you have in front of you. There are certain responsibilities and duties which you think that you have to do as a role play, as a mother, father, husband, wife, brother, sister, daughter-in-law, sister-in-law, whatever it is. All this concoction of responsibilities, roles, purpose, mission, views, dreams, all of that goes down the drain. Qualitatively, it goes down to a poorer state when a person operates from a lower mental state and creates a lower quality of decision, thereby making a lower quality of destiny. So we are creating our destiny, but at that point of time, have we noticed if the destiny is not returning something which is useful to us, or which I wanted or desired in my desired state, what was my mental state within which I was operating to create or take a decision to create that destiny? Have we noticed that? Have we noticed the difference that made the difference tipping towards success or failure? It is the difference that makes the difference. ITD, TMTD. It is the difference that makes the difference. What is the difference? Is the difference. ITD, that ITD, TMTD occurrence during the point of tipping towards failure and tipping towards success, either way. So there is a failure bucket and a success bucket. When I am tipping towards success bucket, what is the difference that made the difference to tip me towards success? And when I am tipping towards failure bucket, what is the difference that made the difference to tip me towards a failure? If I am able to be aware in that state, and I have a mental state which is capable of recognizing these two ITD, TMTD moments or occurrences, then I would have a very high chance of averting any further failure for the same mistake. At the same time, repeating the success story every time I intend to. So what is important here is to have and maintain, come what may, a very high mental state to create and take all your decisions with an outcome that creates a very resourceful destiny. So mental state high, quality of decision high, and destiny resourceful. This is the link, and this is the communication, and this is the harmony which the world and the philosophy or the spirituality or the fundamental law of the universe will support. If you are choosing to have a lower mental state or don't come out of your mental state, which is in an unresourceful space, then obviously that individual is unable to create a quality decision with complete clarity, and thereby it is not a quality destiny that he is creating for himself or herself with complete clarity or knowledge. So uninformed decision or decision with lower clarity, creating completely accidental destiny without clarity, and which is not desired, undesirable destinies. So many of us who are experiencing undesirable results in our life is because of the fact that we had allowed ourselves to slip into a lower mental state as and when there is a trigger. As and when there is a reason and a trigger, at the drop of a hat, I am ready to fall on the ground. When a person or an individual, at the drop of a hat, if somebody sneezes also, I'll feel he is giving me abuses, and that abuse I must take and accept and as real. What is coming into your senses is not you. The problem with us is the thoughts which comes into our mind, which may be a wrong thought or a bad thought or an ugly thought. Many of the times when mental state goes down, the primary reason is we accept that thought and identify that thought as me, not as mine. But every thought, like water running through a river in front of us, is not you, it is yours. You are an observer to the thought which passes below your consciousness or awareness light. That means awareness and consciousness like a headlight which is fixed on your head, and you are looking in front, and the water is flowing through that drain or whatever pipe it is in front of you, which is an open pipe. And that water is nothing but all the thoughts and ideas which are put together, and it's passing by. It is your choice to pick up a particular thought and ponder on it, explore it, and ideate, innovate, and create out of that something useful. But if supposedly the thought which is passing is ugly, which is bad, which is creating certain bad notion or unresourcefulness in you, you may choose not to pick up that thought. But the person who picks up that thought and considers that thought as me, like somebody says, you are absolutely useless. So I take that thought, somebody has said, you are absolutely useless. That sentence, semantics, that thought which comes from somebody else, that I am absolutely useless, I accept it and own it that I am useless. Like that useless you can replace with anything. So the very act of accepting a thought as me, not as mine, is the root of every problem beginning with your mental. The moment you have accepted your thought as not yours but you, thought itself is you. Or, oh my God, you are having such a bad time. You are really in a bad time because you don't have this, you don't have that in your life. This is not there, that is not there. You don't have a car, you don't have a house, you don't have a 5 lakh wristwatch, or you don't have whatever, or you don't have a wife, you don't have a girlfriend, you don't have a boyfriend. Everything together. I don't have means I am completely, useless fellow who nobody will select in the entire world, in the entire timeline and the history of civilization. That is what I accept immediately. And the moment I accept those ideas as me, that I am useless, they said that you are useless in certain way because you don't have it. That's an idea. But I have accepted that idea as not as mine also. I have accepted that idea as me, that I am useless. I am starting to believe that I am useless. That means you are owning that thought, which is unresourceful. The problem has started happening in terms of bringing down your mental state. The moment your mental state goes down, you are unable to take a good quality resourceful decision in your life, which in turn is going to create your destiny, that is your future. So all is related to our willingness or unwillingness to protect our mental state. If mental state is so important for us to create our destiny through our capability of decision making and establishing relationship with others, that is also a success story, because a person who is not friendly or who cannot establish relationship with others is unsocial, isn't it? But we are social animals. We are supposed to be the best of the social animal in the entire animal kingdom. So, not only decisions that you take by itself, for any context that you take in your life, your ability and capability and willingness to establish relationship with people and to understand people, connect with people, contribute to people, make life happen through you for others. This is also an engagement with people, not with things or situations, is very important for you. For that, you need to have a resourceful mental state first. So unless your mental state is kept in order, everything else gets into disorder. Whether you are relating with people, whether you are engaging with people, whether you are taking a decision to create your destiny, which is your future. And if you are not doing all of that, and you are not having control or access to create a quality future and a quality destiny, and you are blaming it to your fate, God save you, or anything else cannot save you. When I am putting the responsibility instead of my shoulder on something unknown, accidentally, on fate, that fate decides my future. That's the end of the story for you. It is better not to, breathe after that when you are considering fate is your destiny maker. What's the point you living and breathing and contributing to your life? You cannot contribute to your life the moment you accept and believe that fate is taking you forward somewhere, accidentally. Does it make sense? So it is not fate, because there is nothing called fate, but you are, with your own senses and your capacity to learn, unlearn, relearn, you are available at this moment to take a flip from your current position of believing certain things, which creates a huge pandemonium in your state of mental space, where it should never be any kind of, winds getting in without your permission. Your mental space should be such a protected one, where everything that is to heighten your mental state is available. Now, if they are disturbed by external winds and external turbulences, then I am not in a position to operate through a high resourceful mental state. It is not about high or low, it is about resourcefulness. So if I am having, or I am in a state of resourcefulness, that means that my mental state is resourceful and I am able to take quality decisions using that mental state, which is resilient, firewall proof, completely protected and equanimous. That means I can maintain a state of equanimity of mind, I can maintain a resilience from external triggers, I can maintain the sanctity of clarity that I can see with my value system and whatever I have learned in my life. I am able to apply what I know in doing what I do. That means I am a person who is not having a gap or a big gap between knowing and doing. So what I know I do, what I do after knowing. I don't do anything without knowing, and I don't refrain from doing something which I know. That means I know, but I am not doing. This should not be a combination. I am doing, but without knowing, this should not be a combination either. So whatever I know, I must apply in my life in several and multiple contexts, so that I have a complete experiential learning about everything that I know by doing. So I am bridging my knowing-doing gap constantly. Constantly I am up on my toes to ensure that what I know I am doing, and what I am doing it after knowing. Not in a half-baked, half-digested. There is no hurry on the timeline, but the hurry is to ensure that if you are not keeping your mental state at an optimum level, you would not be able to take a decision which is at optimum resourceful level to create a destiny which is at optimum level. But then don't try and come back saying that, oh, I have learned so many things, but I am not able to effectuate that in my life in creating my future or my destiny. Because of the fate, I did not make it. No, never. That fate is something which is important, valuable and existing only for those people who are not able to maintain their mental state, who are not taking a resourceful quality of decision to create their destiny themselves. Now, if you ask that what is that karma is all about, there is a karmic account infiltration, and there is something called karmic bondage and karmic, a recap from or load or from the previous birth and all of that. Presupposing we accept it, there are certain ways in which you can very clearly accept that every human being is born in the Hindu philosophy or Hindu culture or in spirituality of Hinduism. We can accept that there is a karmic account for every individual. When they come with certain X value there. It could be negative, it could be positive, it could be neutral, we don't know what. Now, considering it is negative, considering it is neutral, considering it is positive, what would be the fate of that person moving ahead? I'll tell all the options and then you can subsequently accept and pick up and apply whichever is applicable for you. Now, understanding somebody has come with a neutral karmic account, that means it is zero balance, he is neutral. So if he does positive work, creating positive consequences, he will put positivity in his karmic account, which would be allowing him to become a start at a higher space in the next birth. If he has started with a neutral, then again if he does positive, neutral only he had started, he will do positive, he will get positive. Now if he does negative, for him, he will account for negativities in his karmic account, so that there will be a corresponding birth in his next birth. If he has come with a negative account, then he has to do something positive to neutralize it, and then if he does positive, he will get positive. If he does negative, he gets negative. Somebody coming with negative account, positive account, he is ready with some kind of an advantage. So a little amount of negative will nullify that positive and bring him still to neutral, and then he can start doing positive. So he has a leeway of doing something wrong things for a while, depending on whatever positive karmic account balance he has. So this is the relativity, but the thing is that what is still remaining important and significantly changing your destiny is what you do and how you do it. If you remember, self-respect is when you respect for what you do, how you do it. Self-esteem, when you value what you do, how you do it. Self-confidence is when you know that you know everything or skills that required to do what you do, how you do it. Self-respect, self-esteem and self-confidence adds up to create your self-worth. It is also coming from the karmic balance. If your karmic balance is neutral, then it is easier for you to sort out your self-worth. If your karmic balance is negative, it is very difficult. The person will start with a very low self-worth. If a person is having a very good self-worth, that means if his karmic balance is very much positive, he will start with a very high self-worth. So it is like having a kind of an advantage at birth or disadvantage at birth or in the neutral line at birth. That's all. Over the entire lifeline of 50 years, 80 years to 125 years, a human body is generally designed and constructed for 125 years of living. So for this 125 years, it is enough of a time for an entity in his birth to create his destiny as he or she wants, from wherever he or she is, irrespective of the present circumstances or his past. It does not connect. It's a myth. If anybody says there are 96% of world population who are in the space of mediocrity, who believe, which is a limiting belief, that my past decides my future or my current circumstances would decide my future. It is a myth. Absolutely BS. What decides your future is your decision. Because your decision, the quality of your decision will decide your destiny. And if you are able to create and keep and hone a mental state which is resourceful, your quality of decision will be resourceful, your destiny that you would create would be with clarity and resourceful future, which is most appropriate and essential for you. You would be able to have that clarity to design your future by your decision. And that's it. There is no doubt in this particular action string. Decision, destiny. Decision, destiny. How and from which mental state you decide, in which mental state you relate with people while you decide, because after decision comes relationship. Once you have decided to marry some X person, once you decide to connect or engage with some X person, once you decide to talk to some X person, once you decide to talk in certain way with X person, your decision is getting in the process of execution, at that time. So good and better decision you take from a better and a good mental state, you are taking a most appropriate and essential decision to create most appropriate and essential destiny. That is your future. Very simple game. The dirt which comes in between in terms of lack of clarity, opaqueness or loss of clarity, loss of line of sight, everything happens because of lower consciousness and awareness about what needs to happen for you at this point of time for you to be your best version. As simple as that. Nothing less. As I come to the end of this session today, thank you very much for a wonderful patient hearing for the people who are here. I would anticipate and I'm curious to hear at least one liner or two liner from you in terms of the usefulness of this topic in 0 to 10, if 0 being least useful and 10 being most useful as far as you are concerned in this current context of space and time in your life. So anybody can start. I will not point fingers. So anybody can say what is your one liner, two liner feedback. Yeah, Sanjay.
सर मेरे लिए बिगेस्ट टेक अवे है कि शॉर्ट टर्म डिसीजन और लॉन्ग टर्म डिसीजन में किस चीज़ में मतलब मैप ऑफ द वर्ल्ड पे हम डिपेंड करेंगे और किस चीज़ में लॉन्ग टर्म डिसीजन में किस तरीके से हम वैल्यू सिस्टम, बिलीफ सिस्टम और अपने इनफैक्ट अगर इसमें जोड़े तो जो हमारे आपने वो बताया है अप्रोप्रिएट एसेंशियल फिल्टर्स भी हैं, वैल्यू सिस्टम, बिलीफ सिस्टम एंड लॉन्ग टर्म फिल्टर्स, और शॉर्ट टर्म में शायद ड्राइवर से ज़्यादा ऑपरेट हो जाए. दैट इज
perfect. Thank you very much for adding value to this session, Sanjay, in spite of your voice and throat. I wish you very early and rapid recovery. Yes, Piyush ji.
Sir, I would say this session was a very icebreaker for me in a sense that I learned that whatever we do, we should have a purpose of doing it, and there should be the importance of being in the good mood all the time. How happiness can be calculated and how happiness can be planned. I remember I was remembering when I was telling about myself, I was remembering that there are instances in my office also when I'm not very at the coolest level. I do get panic and it's not wise also. So henceforth I will try and see that whomsoever I speak and talk, it should be very low and very rational talk rather than going by emotions.
Yes.
There's no space for emotion.
Nobody should suffer due to your emotions. Yeah.
So there should not be, nothing should be governed by emotions. Every thing, every time it should be rational.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Wonderful. That's a wonderful support system that you have extended to all of us here. Thank you very much, Piyush, for adding value to the session. Thank you. Yes, who's next? Yes, Rajesh.
Yes, it has been extremely enriching and eye-opening as always. We did this boost ever so frequently, so that our mental filters and checklist gets revised, because we otherwise go get in an autopilot mode most of the time. So we need to pause, reflect, and as Piyush ji pointed out, rationally. More rationally than emotionally, and most importantly, reasonably.
Yes.
Reasonableness is also very important, because at times, in becoming rational, we miss out on the little relation dynamics that exist in our relationship. So we also need to be reasonable, and we need to also have that checklist, a mental checklist and filtration, as Sanjay ji pointed out, that when we take a decision, respond to somebody, are we really taking our judgment and decision through that filtration, through that
Yes,
line
yes.
of checklists? So that is my big takeaway, and thank you very much. It's really extremely, I would say, elevating for me personally. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajeshi, for adding value to this session and your presence. It was very useful for all of us. Thank you very much. Yes, Sunil?
Sir, I have really learned a lot of things, and the topmost of that was it's in our life we can change our life based on the decisions that we take and not on the current situations or the environment, right? So we can start anytime we want, obviously by taking the decision.
Yes,
so that was
yes.
something that I've learned today.
Yes, yes. That's a very important point, and which you have noticed. The fact that you have noticed makes me much happy and glad that this point you have noticed, because it will be very useful for you, Sunil. Personally, one-to-one, I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, sir. Thank you, sir.
You are one of the best in the group. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Yes, Soma Sajivan, please. Yes, you can unmute yourself. Yes.
No, I was only complimenting, but I missed it in between. So, but I really like the whatever he spoke. It's a very positive state of mind. So whatever be your current state condition, that need not be the condition for tomorrow. So one can always take charge and move ahead. That's a very good message.
Yes. Thank you for adding such a good value to this session. It makes a lot of sense to me. Thank you for being here and adding value again. Thank you very much, Soma Sajivan. Yes, Papari Sengupta, please share your feedback.
Sir, today's my session, that 7 of 10 and as well listening, দুটোই আমার জন্য, that you know, as for his demise I used to always feel I had a guilt feeling with me, so that thing has been cleared.
Wow, lovely, wonderful.
And what else, I always check myself, you know.
Yes,
in that way also it is very useful for me.
Outstanding.
Now the awareness also raised high. That is that is
And you are not alone.
And I am not.
There is 28 people who are around you in a similar path, who are wanting to, and they are almost their best version in their lives, and they are continuously putting the efforts.
Yes, in LLP family, I have seen only you as a teacher, but as a student, I need to see.
Yeah, you will see. You are seeing everybody, but
I'm really convinced with Mr. Mukherjee's progress and everything. So I am dreaming for that position also.
Rajeshi, you have influenced so well. I don't know what mental state with which you have come to the session today. Must be very good.
But he is almost,
Thank you.
It is really something special.
Wow. Oh, thank you very much. You saw it this way. I'm really touched, and I am sure it is with everybody else. I have been very benefited and enriched from all across all of you, from all of you, and you as well. You are also showing a lot of confidence and very calm and composed state of mind, for that matter. Even as you said that you are in this journey for a very short period of time, but it is not. But you are.
Yes,
she is the youngest of the lot. I think 7 sessions, na?
7 session today.
7 session.
All credit goes to Sir only, and Sir knows that this connection is totally purely divine. That is a separate story also. I'll share with Mr. Mukherjee someday.
Sure. I look forward to it. Thank you.
Wonderful. So thank you very much, all of you. We look forward to next month's virtual meet. And as I share this on Facebook, may I anticipate all of you to put a like there and put your remarks, whatever you can, on my Facebook wall. Over a period of time, this is going to grow to as an international community, and this 30 or 20 people would enlarge to the world space. So wishing you all the best and a wonderful Sunday, and Take care of yourself.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you
Bye.
very
Bye.
much, sir.
Bye.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you all so much.
Have a wonderful month. It's going to end with tomorrow, and let us
Yes.
welcome the new month very
Yes.
soon.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Congratulations.
Bye.
Thank you.